this is Greg Kelly. Donate now to Toys for Tots, which works year-round. Go to toysfortots.org. Toys for Tots supports children in need throughout the year with programs like the Toys for Tots Literacy Program. Established in 2008, it has provided over 63 million books to disadvantaged children. The Toys for Tots Literacy Program is committed to providing disadvantaged children with direct access to books and educational resources that enhance their ability to read and communicate effectively. Go to toysfortots.org.
Excuse me! Taxi!
Come on, what are you doing? This is the 77 WABC minicast.
KT McFarland, former Deputy National Security Advisor. KT, what do you think is going to happen? It's less than 3 hours.
First of all, I think he is negotiating, and I think he is negotiating with some members of the Iranian regime. Now, is the Iranian regime a solid, cohesive group? No. We've now taken out most of their senior leadership, military, civilian, and the mullahs. And so he is negotiating with somebody, but not everybody. And my guess is he's negotiating with a civilian leadership and maybe not the IRGC. And that's why you're getting mixed messages, where on one hand, the Iranians have said, we're negotiating, and then they say, no, we're not negotiating. It's sort of, who are you negotiating with? There's probably not one coherent voice. Number two, I think he may have the outlines of a deal. If you look at what whoever it is he's negotiating with has said, they've dropped the part about nuclear weapons. They talk about that they want the fighting to stop, that they want to have the sanctions lifted, that they want various things, but they don't mention anymore that they want to keep their enriched uranium or they want nuclear weapons or the missiles. It's like they're ignoring it, or maybe only the group that we're talking to is ignoring it. But President Trump's conditions have not changed. No nuclear weapons, no enhanced uranium, no missiles, no proxies to fight and kill Americans, and now open the Strait of Hormuz. So I think they're talking, and I do think that President Trump is not going to let the deadline pass without something, whether it's an additional military move or whether it's an announcement that they're coming closer together and both sides just are negotiating under the good offices of the Pakistanis. But I don't think this passes with no notice and nothing happened.
Yeah, I agree. I think something. I mean, he was saying before that he said within 4 hours. I mean, this is how specific he was. Prior to some of these new, reach out by the Pakistan prime minister and the others, KT, he was saying in 4 hours we could wipe out every bridge, every power plant. So there may be, even what Craig was just saying, like maybe some things are hit and
even the Pope panicked.
Yeah, even the Pope panicked. Yes, that's for sure.
He's been panicked from the beginning.
Well, look, Trump plays, they all fall into Trump's sort of trap, right? Because Trump always goes in with this huge demand, and everybody gets all excited and condemns him. And today, the media and the Democrats and the Europeans are all saying Donald Trump is going to use nuclear weapons to kill 93 million people. Wait a minute, that's not at all what he said, but that's how they want to interpret it. And so I think President Trump has got, I know Trump well enough. I've been in the Situation Room with him when we've made the point to him that if you fail, your whole presidency could rest on it. In the first couple of weeks of his first term, he'd made the decision to attack the airfields in Syria, which were being used to have planes take off from and bomb with chemical weapons the Syrian people. And it was right before President Trump's Mar-a-Lago summit, the first meeting with the Chinese president, and I pointed out, look, if this goes wrong, no fault of your own, but if this goes wrong somehow, it's going to haunt your presidency from the very beginning. And he went ahead and did it anyway. He is willing to take a calculated risk. He's not a big risk taker, but a calculated risk taker.
And were you there when the Chinese president was surprised?
I was in the Situation Room, and President Trump was in Mar-a-Lago with the Chinese president. The Chinese president was blown away.
Yeah, it was, and by the way, you know who he has on? He's supposed to meet tonight, I think, with an ambassador from India was on his schedule. Well, so he might be surprised tonight too, right, KT?
I think that what President Trump understands is that if he fails, the same way that if he had failed in rescuing the American pilot, and let's say a lot of Americans had died or we had been caught into some firefight, that Donald Trump would be accused of all sorts of things and the impeachments would begin. And I think President Trump also understands the high risk he's doing to his own presidency. That's why I'm pretty convinced he's got something going on.
You know what I also applaud, KT, President Trump. He has the courage. I mean, Craig and the judge and John and I were talking about this earlier. All these other presidents, it was appeasement. They talked about wanting to do this. He has the courage to do it. And because he said this yesterday, I'm doing this for future generations. He understands the magnitude of the moment. And this is a moment now in Iran that you wonder, will it happen again? Will this moment be ready again?
This moment won't come again because Iran will get nuclear weapons. They've made it really clear. There's nothing that's going to stop this current regime. Now, a changed regime because of changed circumstances, military or otherwise, may have a different result. But it's pretty clear that Iran is just not going to stop its quest for a nuclear weapon. And what does that mean? Think of what Iran is doing now, holding the world hostage in the Strait of Hormuz by stopping shipping. Can you imagine if that was an Iran that had nuclear weapons? And then they would hold the world hostage by saying, well, we're going to use our nuclear weapons, or we're going to, nuke whatever we're going to do. And we all know that they're willing to do stuff like that, right? That they're not rational actors in the sense that we understand it. To me, if Iran has nuclear weapons, it's too late. Iran is like having nuclear weapons in the hands of Adolf Hitler during World War II. That's why it's so important to stop it now, even if we have to pay a price for it, because the price we pay later is inconceivable.
Absolutely. Judge Weinberg.
KT, I think you're absolutely right. The problem is delay does not work for us. It works for Iran. Every time you delay, they get stronger. They regroup.
Yes.
And the second point I would make, Jan, I want your thoughts about this. Who do you negotiate with? Apparently, there have been reports coming out of Iran and probably through U.S. and Israel intelligence that there's a dispute going on between the president of the country and the Revolutionary Guard leadership, yes, and that they're angry at each other. Now, whether that's theater and it's trying to say that there's a so-called moderate there or not, I don't know. But the fact of the matter is, how do you cut a deal when you can't deliver? So even if the president of Iran says, yes, we have a deal, the Revolutionary Guard can go do what they want to do.
The Revolutionary Guard isn't just the military. It's the military, it's the intelligence service, it's the thugs on the motorcycles on the street that beat up women who aren't wearing headscarves.
And the guys who control the economy. They control the businesses.
And they can 60% of the economy. It's as if our armed forces would own all of our major weapons manufacturers and some energy industries as well. So maybe there's some kind of a deal. Maybe those people are willing to sacrifice their revolutionary ideas if they can hang on to their money and their power. Again, we're not privy to these negotiations, but Donald Trump is negotiating with somebody, and they have a plan, and I have confidence that the president knows exactly what he's doing, and I think he runs out of patience, and he's not going to be played along, Judge. As you've said, how can you trust them? They played along Obama, they played along Biden, they played along Bush, frankly. They don't play along Donald Trump, and so I do think that he's got an end goal in sight. It may be that we have a military action to take out, for example, the oil pipelines or the oil facilities on Karg Island, and we show the Iranians, okay, so we can do this. You want us to do something more tomorrow, or do you want to settle?
Probably the Karg Island.
Karg Island is this island that sits in the middle of the Strait of Hormuz, and it has two things on it. It has naval bases, military bases, and it has docks. The pipelines go to Karg Island with the oil. The tankers come up to Karg Island, they get filled up, they go on their way. We have so far destroyed military sites on Karg Island, and then yesterday we did another bombing attack on the sort of remaining military facilities on Karg Island. But we never touched the energy industry. We never touched the pipelines. We didn't touch the infrastructure. We could do that, and that then destroys 50-60% of Iran's income overnight.
Yeah, that's a big deal. KT, the other thing too, in the middle of all this, the Democrats, I can't believe they've come out and they are like accusing him of war crimes already because he hit a bridge that was also used by the IRGC.
I have so much sympathy. I was on one of the British shows today, Piers Morgan and BBC, and I kept thinking of what John said when he was on French television last week. They're spinning their own narrative. I mean, they've decided that when Trump used the word civilization, that he was going to nuke 93 million people tonight. They know that that's not what he meant, but they're interested in clickbait, or they're interested in getting everybody whooped up. just let Donald Trump see these negotiations through. There'll be plenty of time. If this fails, Donald Trump will be in so much political trouble that there'll be plenty of time that these people can go after him. But I say give him 48 hours. Let's see what happens.
I agree. Boy, it's going to be interesting. KT, thank you so much. We love having you, and we always back America and pray for America and for the free world. Yep. Thank you.
Thank you, KT.
Thank you.
This is Roger Stone for American Sovereign Bullion. Since 2020, the U.S. dollar has lost over 20% of its purchasing power. Meanwhile, gold continues to rise. Call 844-272-2428 or go to asbgold.com now to get your free gold and silver guide and learn how to protect your wealth with physical gold and silver delivered to your door or held in a gold IRA today. So go to asbgold.com now. Don't wait for the markets to drop. That's asbgold.com.